Welcome back to Kalmat Jeli. I have a special guest today. He's been the president of the Rydelmere Soccer Club for, I think, about 25 years. He's been a player, he's been a coach, he's been there for the last 40 years, since day one. Just to give you a brief idea about the club was formerly known as St. Joseph's Gharta Soccer Club. Rydelmere Football Club was first established in 1979, playing out of both Everleigh Park and Granville Park in the Sydney Amateur League competition. In its short history, Rydelmere FC has achieved great success, both off and on the field. In the early 90s, the club withdrew from the New South Wales Federation to focus attention on building the junior base. With entry back into the New South Wales State League competition reliant on success in the GDSFA Premier League competition, which is the Granville Association, 2010-2012 provided a successful year for Rydelmere FC, dominating the Granville District Premier League competition. In 2012, a new opportunity arose to establish a New South Wales State League Division 2, licensed under the name of Fairfield Lions. In 2013, playing in the New South Wales State League was brought back to the club. In 2014, the New South Wales State League license name changed to Rydelmere Lions FC. In 2014, the club won promotions to the New South Wales State League Division 1. In 2015, regional youth teams were introduced to the club. This raised the total number of teams within the club to 44, which is incredible. In 2017, the youth and men NPL teams were promoted to the New South Wales NPL 1 and New South Wales NPL 2 respectively. In 2019, Rydelmere Park, the home ground of Rydelmere FC, is receiving $5 million toward the major upgrade and improvement of the venue. 40 years ago, this one I posted on Facebook, but I have to say it because I did write it from the heart. 40 years ago, an idea became a reality, but that idea could not have been sustained, flourished, and grown into an incredible achievement and success story if it weren't for the contribution of a number of motivated great people, and in particular, the vision, the commitment for the entire 40 years, courage, and endless sacrifice of a legend called Peter Bacha. Peter, you deserve endless accolades for what you have done for the club and continues to do. Welcome, and it's a great honor to have you at Kalmat Jeli. Ahlan, Peter.
Thank you, Sakis. Too many kind words there. Thank you.
Too many true words.
Thank you very much.
Peter, what drove Peter Bacha to sacrifice, to dedicate, I know how much it takes, effort, time, money. What drove you, what inspired you to do what you did, and hopefully you will do for many years to come?
Well, it started off with my parents. أهلي لو ما يضلوا يحكوا عن لبنان as نحن من growing up ما كنت أعرف أنا لبنانية وخاصة الجيل صغرتي وياه. And then وقت few people بدهم يبلشوا النادي ما يبرموا على لعيبة. أنا كنت ألعب in the glebe competition مع الأسترالية all the Anglo-Saxon clubs اسمي طلع جابوني على النادي, and from there عرفت إنه there's something there special. It's all because of Dad. ضل يحكي عن لبنان وهيك إنه لازم نضل نكون مع بعضنا ويضل يقول لي على الهيريتج الهيستوري تبع لبنان, and that's what started it. And then وقت كنت مع العب مع تمرين وهيك I felt
Connected?
No, I felt no, I didn't fit in because at the beginning, but my heart kept telling me, no, I have to stay. And because everybody was, everybody was a code, everybody had their 2 cents worth in. وبتعرفوا انه دمنا بضل حامي.
That hasn't changed.
It hasn't. And from there, one night, 2 people approached me out of the players. قالوا لي, Peter, you don't belong here. And أنا طلعت فيهم قلت لهم, no, I do belong here. Well, but look at them. They're fighting, arguing, and there's no structure. But still, I still belong here. This is my heritage. This is where I belong. And I've stayed there ever since. And then as time went on, you were coaching there and that with the juniors when it started. But the real connection happened also in that first year. Is so I met my wife. By accident. She was wearing, it was a windy day at Every Park, and when the game was over, she got cold and she wore this tracksuit thinking it was her brother's. And before you know it, we're all finished and I'm looking to see where my tracksuit to wear to stay warm. And I'm looking around and she looked and that was it, and the rest is history.
Amazing.
So there was a connection there to be at that club.
And the thing is, also your wife was involved and is involved in the
Still
club,
from day one.
Your children.
Yes.
So this will give you even more motivation to carry on.
To carry on, especially the first time went to Rydelmere in '92, and in the first week, my kids were only, and it was the first time my wife went to Rydelmere. And Ibni Ken, he was only about 4 years old. In that first week, قلت أنا وياه نتمشى بالشارع. And then as we're walking, نحن ماشيين, بلش يسلم على هالولاد. عرفهم by their first name. فينيانوس, بركات, this. I said, وقفت قلت له, يا بيي, كيف تعرف هالولاد؟ قال لي, كنت ألعب بالطوبة قدام الباب. جمعوا هالولاد وبلش يزعل وتعرف على هالولاد. That round ball attracts everybody together.
Yeah.
It's a circle of life. Doesn't matter what religion, what color, what race you are, it just brings everybody together. And that, to me, it's the thing that doesn't involve politics, doesn't involve religion, doesn't involve anything. And when I saw that and how it attracted him to meet other people, it was perfect. And then it happened again in I was more involved back then in the Federation, and we started Antoine Zalo. I started off with the juniors. Yeah. And yes, and we were at a picnic. I know it was a time that I had a free time because I wasn't coaching or doing anything with the big boys. And then ما نلعب هيك ما يلعب وأنا ومرتي قاعدين, and then all of a sudden جمعوا هالولاد. طلعوا هالولاد, they're part of the club, بيعرفون, and he was only 6. And from then I knew deep down this club is very important to the community, to our community.
Peter, this club is the only continuous club, yep, or like ethnic, if you want to say, yes, it, or new Australian club, yep, ever. Like there was clubs who played for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years.
That's correct.
And coincidentally, those 40 years are connected to Peter Bacha one way or another. I wanted to ask you a bit about Peter Bacha before he became the stalwart of Rydelmere. Were you born here? What's your memory? If not, what's your memory of Lebanon or the first time you went to Lebanon?
Yes, I'm an Australian born. I'm in Sydney. And And I think the first مشوار إحنا على لبنان, I was about 4 years old. And I remember a lot of things back then. رحت على مدرسة الفرير بطرابلس at that age. It was hard because no matter what, you go over there, we were called wogs. You come here, we get called wogs. So we're caught in between two places. And I was in memories that I get is I get home نوصل من المدرسة بالبوستو from Troblos, الفرير. I miss him, this, that. I was always in a fight, arguing. And then Bayu and Allah yarhamu Ammi Yusuf sat me down and said, listen, you got to toughen up or else بدك تضل تاكلها هيك. إذا بدك ترجع تاني نهار مخزوق قميصك هيك بدك تاكل أطلي مني. From that day, I remember to stand up for myself and defend. And a lot of good memories was Allah yarhamu Jiddi Sulaiman. I spent a lot of time, I learned a lot with my grandparents. And Lebanon means a lot to me. It's deep down in my heart. To me, it doesn't interest me in what family. To me, it's been put into me as a Zgirtewe, and I will always be number one at that. And then we went back, came back to Australia, and then we went back in 72. And I think a lot of people back then were back in 72 when Allah yarhamu Sulaiman Farranji was elected as president. And all the families went back. It was a great 3 years. We went to the Madrasat al-American in Troblos. And yeah, that was hell there for being wogs. And we formed our, believe it or not, B'Hmayne, an Aussie team.
Yeah.
I started up an Aussie team as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old.
What did you call it?
Aussies.
Wow.
Okay. And there was a lot of us from here من Australia روحوا على لبنان.
Yeah.
Like Allah yarhamu Sulaiman Saadi's family.
Yeah, yeah.
And Red Ammi Butros, like there's Paul Bacha, Anthony and all them. Red Amti Evelyn, Rayod Mawad.
Yeah.
You know, there was Ibn Mahsen Asif, Allah yarhamu Kamal Mahsen Asif Mawad.
Yeah.
There was a lot, and we rounded each other. ولعبنا بملعب حمينة. Back then, حمينة was a little soccer field, all sand.
Yeah, yeah.
It was Sitti Allah yarhamah made t-shirts,
yeah,
white t-shirts as our jerseys. We wrote on there Aussies, and we put posters بالشارع and that. And we packed the hill. Everybody that knows حمينة, the hill, the mountain by South Hassan, people everywhere just to watch us, and it was brilliant. It was we had an impact. So from as a 12, 13-year-old, it was in my blood. Soccer.
Peter, now you have 44 teams. How many players?
Over 500.
That's ladies and men.
Ladies and men and boys from the age of 5, from 5 years old, all the way to my so-called over 35s. Who can play now 45?
Do you have over 60s?
I can, because then I can qualify for that. It'll be, but there is going to be. I'll touch into that later.
Okay.
There's going to be.
Okay. Now, this club, which is a beautiful story, beautiful success story. You've managed to somehow win funding from the government, the state government, was it?
Yes.
Through MP Jeff Lee.
That's correct.
And we want to appreciate and thank him for his efforts.
Absolutely.
And the efforts of everyone involved. I think the Parramatta Lord Mayor.
Well,
what can you tell us about?
Well, this grant, we've been, it all started, the whole lot of hard work has gone from many years where Tony Issa,
Yep.
He was an independent back then as a council, yes. And it started off with him back then, supporting our club.
That's true.
And then we came up, then as the years went by, John Shadid jumped on board and he pushed hard for us. Extremely hard. He's the one that pushed to get our new facility for the building. It took about over 5 years to get it approved. And he taught me a lot on how to deal with the council and how to be. He also he taught me a lot, John did, and he did a lot of hard work. And then the next person that stepped up to the mark is Ibn Tony Isa, Stephen Isa, who also used to play. He played a year or two with the club, and he pushed for the club to get what we are right now with the funding, with a lot of help from Michelle Gerard, the daughter of Paul Gerard, who also was a supporter of our club, and the Lord Mayor, who was for the last 2 years, when he became Lord Mayor, with the help of Stephen Easy and Michelle and the rest, supported us through thick and thin. You know, he didn't know us. He was that was Andrew Wilson. He was an independent. So he pushed for us and he backed us all the way, especially when there was a division in the council. For some reason, certain people didn't want to work with us, but thankfully we had the numbers, and if it wasn't for the way John did to help me how to work with the council and how to communicate, I wouldn't have been able to secure, you know, the votes that I had. But especially Stephen East is just unbelievable. He's supported us because of our background and what we're doing for the kids. And same like with Michelle, the daughter of Paul Gerard. Everybody knows Paul in the Lebanese community.
Yeah.
She came up to me one time when I was asking for support. She said, "Peter, you don't have to tell me anything about your club. I already know." I said, "How?" She says, "I've been watching you go. I come down to watch the games." "Oh, really?" She says, "Yeah, my daughter goes out with one of your players in the under-16s." "Really?" And from then, people on the outside were seeing Ashkana Manamil in what we was doing and how we were helping the community and keeping the kids off the street. And we've a lot of support.
I think one of the most difficult thing to do is to secure sponsors, because there's a lot of overhead, there's a lot of cost involved, from referee cost to grounds to everything else. How did you manage, and how are you managing in this regard? And what would you say to people who could potentially sponsor?
Well, it started off with, we're always looking around to see who can help. And a lot of the people that support are the parents. If they've got a small business or whatever. And then there came a time where because they're working family, they're not big business people. One time, Simon Dwayhe, who's one of my directors in the club, started coaching the under-6s. And he said, "Peter, I want to get this for the kids." I said, "Okay, but we don't have the money. If you can find me a sponsor to look after that team, that money will go to that team." He says, "All right." So he started that. Then other teams and the parents started saying, "Why have they got that?" Well, the coach organised, asked around, got a sponsor. That money went to that particular team. From then, everybody balashihka and started getting sponsors for their teams, and that helped. But then we've got the sponsors will come bijou al neda if you're successful. If there's a fee يشوفوا إنه you're where the money's going. Although the problem with a lot of community,
they got exposure as well.
Yes, every cent that we get, we show them where it's going. You know, one time I was doing the line marking, the old machine pump, and trying to do it. مرة شخص came up to me. He said, "Peter, can you get a new machine in that?" I said, "Yeah, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to cost me about 1700. He says, "All right." And that gentleman's name was Slayman Saidi Salibi. His kids were in the club and he saw me and whatever. He came up to me, he said, "Peter, buy the machine and there's the money." And I thank him for that. And to this day, and that was nearly, say 15 years, and that machine's still going. So people like that help. And then we got a gentleman by the name of Charlie Bunasif, who came into the club about 10 years ago from another club, and his son brought him into the club as an 8-year-old. Told him, Dad, I want to go to St. Joseph. All right, and started from there. He saw what the club, and he wanted to help. So he took the portfolio of chasing sponsors, and he's in the corporate world. And so we brought that professionalism to know how to communicate and show where everything's going. And when people can see where the money's going, they come up to us now. How can we help? What money do you need? So the success of our club and the numbers of the kids that come in is attracting our sponsors. So
I noticed at the 40th function you had, the big transformation in like how many nationalities the club has, starting from a particular base group to having, I'm not sure, 40, 50 different nationalities playing for the club.
Yeah.
How this impacted on supporting the club, on of course making it more universal in the communities?
Well, فرد ايد ما فيها تقف, can't make a noise.
For sure.
But when the two and the people get together, your club grows, the big board, and you can do more things. It challenges our own kids to become better. If we were to stay the way we were, Mam Nigbor, and then the club would have fallen and went to nothing. This way, we live in Australia. You got to accept everybody. But then you should one time, and I was doing registration, and one of the ladies, when she was ticking us off, she says, "Oh, Premier League. Oh, I wish my son, their club doesn't have Premier League." Says, "Why doesn't he come over?" And the first thing she told me, she says, "Yeah, but you only want Lebanese." I said, "Who said that?" I said, "We're a sporting club. Yes, it's a Lebanese club, but we accept everybody as long as they want to play. They're there for the right reason. They want to play football and have friends. They're quite welcome. But as soon as there's a problem, I'll show them this is the door. This is where you go." And thankfully, I've had to do it for a few players. They didn't want to be part of the culture of the club. I show them the door, and that doesn't bother me. And that's why the word out there, العلم ما يحكوا هذا مثلا كان ايش اسمه Mark Barakat, Ibn Nadim الله يرحمه Barakat. He was wearing the Rydelmere beanie, with our logo. He went to Queen Victoria building during the week, and then all of a sudden, the guy behind the counter, the counter, said, "Oh, you're from Rydelmere, St. Joseph?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I hear a lot of good things about the club, and this is in the city."
Wow.
Okay, so our logo, our reputation, Haliyam, is second to none. Everybody, we get phone calls, Peter, how do we do this? Normally we were chasing other clubs to نعرف نتعلم. The other clubs ما يتعلموا منا نحن how to run their club, how to make it better, how do you do this? And to me, that's a massive, it's the biggest reward, especially for my team. Because أنا ما فيني أعملها وحدة. I got a team that believe in what we're doing.
Definitely.
And it's been good.
Peter, the name change. The name that changed from
Yes.
St. Joseph Zgarta to Rydelmere FC
Yes.
to Rydelmere Lions.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about why did you, of course you didn't have a choice,
That's
otherwise
right.
you would have kept the same.
Absolutely. Now, it's still Nedi Mariusuf Zgarta, the foundation. I never get rid of the foundation. But one year, when Tony Bacha was the head coach for our club, for our Premier League, and he takes teams overseas. Some players at other countries sort of used, "Oh, where are you from?" Right, St. Joseph. But who's St. Joseph? Where's this club? Where's that? They didn't relate. It's a professional club. And then after that, one year I was coaching, and we were playing in the Waratah Cup. It's like the FFA Cup now. And we made the final 16. the competition. And my young team was, the average age was 18, 19. And we're playing against the big boys. We had to travel to Adamstown Roadsbar past Newcastle at night, Wednesday night, and it was raining. But during the week, I was getting phone calls from the media up there. Who's St. Joseph? Where are you from? Which area? And I had to explain a lot of things to tell them we're in the Parramatta area. But then the law came out by FIFA and Football New South Wales that we can't have an ethnic background to be able to continue in the competition. So we were forced to change the name to adopt the Rydelmere. It's an area, and the success the year before we changed the name, we helped out the Granville Association. The grand finals came up, and it was raining all week. All the grounds were closed. And then what happened after that? Our ground, for some reason, Nabadat Min Allah, Mar Yusuf made sure that our ground wasn't flooded. And the association with all the clubs that normally do the grand finals, so if you want, our ground at the moment is still pretty good. You can bring your teams, you can bring your canteen. That's where you make your money on that day. You can run it, we'll help you. Come Friday, it rained, the ground was full of water. Saturday morning, with brooms, we cleared the water out. And had 3 fields, we made them work. All the grand finals happened. The cars were banked 3-4 blocks, and everybody loved it. Then I get a phone call halfway through the day, Peter, can we do the ladies the next day? So yeah, why not? We're here. And every club respected us, and the community started to recognize our club. So that's why we ended up with Rydelmere, because of the forced by the law. And from then, that was it. From to Rydelmere FC, then when came the license for to buy a state league license, it came up. And it was called Fairfield City Lions. But we had to use that name for the first year because it was already registered with New South Wales. Yes. And then from there we said, okay, and that club originally was from Concord City Lions.
Right.
So they didn't survive. Then it went to Fairfield for 10 years, didn't survive. Now it's with us, and then we changed to Rydelmere Lions, our NPL. And now it's been going for 8-9 years, and it's going to go on for another 50 years as Allah Lord.
You know, there's dozens and probably hundreds watching. You have some greetings from Antoine Halbe,
yeah.
Danny Reza,
yes, Danny.
Peter Mujalle, Kathy Caron. How I'm reading comments.
Already, yeah.
And they're telling you Allah away.
Thank you. Thank you.
What I want to ask you now is there cooperation with other clubs, and how far do you go with that?
Yeah, we get along well with a lot of clubs. Like Danny Rizza, I think he's from Holroyd, if that's Danny Rizza.
Yeah.
He's now the president of Holroyd Rangers. He's done a lot of good work there. He's taken clubs have learnt off us, and I'm happy that they are. And he's done a great job there. I've got Ermington United who are on board. They ask for advice and that. And they share, if they got some talented players, because they don't have that pathway, they say go up and see Peter. You know, if you're up to that standard, he'll know. So we got Granville Waratah, Noel Donor. He's also Lebanese. He's the president of the club and is also part of directors of Granville. So we're working with a lot of clubs, and the communication's very good. And same with Auburn. You know, it's been very good. All the clubs are they respect us.
Tony Bacha, say hi.
Yeah, I do. Yes, we had a lot of good years, Tony. We had a lot of good years, and it's been great. It's been good.
What's the biggest prize that you cherish that the club won? You've won a lot of premierships,
We've won a lot.
different Asias.
We've done a lot.
The club of the year, or
no, we can't seem to win that one.
Right.
Probably the best one, the first one. There's a lot of good wins. You know, a lot of the young teams that have won. But the Challenge Shield that we won for the club for the first time, it's the oldest shield in Australian football. It's 102 years old. And we won that with a team, and back then it was put by Tony Bacha. His first year came in. The first year we just missed out. Come the second year, we won it. And from then it was a stepping stone to try and get to a state league license. That year was very special because it was both grades and it was something unbelievable. But that was that. Then our first promotion in NPL, that was something special. And the last promotion that we had against Fraser Park, that day especially the game at Fraser Park. The season wasn't over, but it was head to head. Their player budget was 430,000. Our player budget was only 70, 80,000. So they had the high profile. They had coaches from ex-Australian coach or whatever, ex-Australian player. It was a father and son, an A-League coach. To our coaches, Tony, who had Emad and had Canali and Chris, we had everybody and Simon. You know, that game won our season of promotion. It was, we had a crowd of about well over 1,000 people, and majority was ours, and that was travelling. And it was our last year playing at home, and it was something special. Then you go to the young ones, you know, like my under-15s this year, association. They started off as 15-2s. They were pushed up into 15-1s. I knew that was going to happen. And they were winning too easy, and they needed a challenge. They went in there. They were worried. Oh, you know, some parents at home, you know, we're going to get smashed. So, but the only way they're going to learn if they do a competition. They end up winning the knockout competition against the Division 1 teams. They won that. They started off in Division 1 minus 20 goals and only on 1 point. So they gave everybody else 6 games head start. They made the grand final. Unfortunately, they lost the grand final by 1 goal in extra time. That was a great achievement. I was proud of them. Then you've got my under-12s this year who weren't Division 1, but they played against Division 1. They made it to the grand final. They lost the grand final, but they did extremely well. You know, my ladies, they're unbelievable. They won the President's Cup this year. They were the best team in Granville, representing Granville in the against the Blacktown Association teams. They're in the Phoenix League. There's a lot of good memories.
Peter, you go through that emotional roller coaster as if those 500 players are your kids, or
they are
as your kids.
They are.
That's unbelievable.
To me, they're all my kids. I'm seeing now the 3rd generation coming through the club.
Wow.
It's been now for the last 5 years, the 3rd generation has been coming through. And to me, that's worth more than any money you can give me. You can fill up this room with hundreds of dollars. It won't mean anything to me. But it's the kids that's what inspires me to keep them going. You know, we've got kids that we've kept off the street that people don't know, kept them out of jail. You know, just keeping them on the right path, and that's what this club's about.
You know, you experienced and you lived through the period where it was all fun at the start,
yes.
Playing amateurs.
Yes.
You know, wasn't serious really,
Yeah.
and it grew up to this stage where it is more professional, where it is more organized. Is the joy, the feeling still the same for you, or has it declined? Has it?
No, it's still the same.
Yep.
It's more. I get more enjoyment. People tell me, why do you keep the association side of things going? I tell them, بقولن وقت الواحد بيعمر البيت, build a house, فبتبلش بالأساس.
Yeah.
And then you build. وقت بتخلص, when you finish, do you get rid of the foundation? What happens if you get rid of it? It'll fall apart. These 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, that's what keeps me going. because they're our future. And I see the happiness that they're innocent. They just want to play. That's all they want to do. As long as the parents, this is where the problem that we have. As long as the parents بيخلوهم يلعبوا and enjoy it, not live their dreams through their kids. That's the biggest challenge that I have. Is some parents, not all, some, get a handful, they're living their dream through their kids. Please, I tell everybody, don't live your dream through your kids. Let them enjoy it. They will know when they want to go to the next level. They will tell you. And it'll be like when they want to go to the next level. Some are slow developers, but that's what keeps me going. I love it. And I'm not saying that the NPL side of things don't. I enjoy it. But there's expectation is to keep succeeding. The more success you have there, the more success you're going to have with your young ones to aspire. Because the success of our NPL and the higher teams attracts you the funding. It attracts you the money to sponsors to come in because they want to be recognized.
Yeah.
You know, so
before Peter Bacha took on the presidency, we have to salute the ones who were before.
Absolutely.
Starting with Tony Jaitani.
Absolutely.
With George Jaitani,
Yep.
with of course Antoine Zalloua, who established the
juniors,
juniors. To Tony McCary. I don't know if Tony became a president, but he was a key player.
Yes.
To Michael Azizi.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
help me with the names. I'm
Yes.
trying to remember.
Yeah.
So,
Got my guys. You got Said Finienos,
Said Finienos,
You know,
George
George Zayden,
Boutros Naoum.
yourself. Don't forget yourself.
All the guys who
There's
really
a lot of
played a
people.
huge part. But when did you take over as president? Did we say that? What year?
Well, like I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. I know 17, 18 years ago, easy.
Yeah.
You know, I think Antoine and I were trying to work it out the other day.
And hopefully another 20 years.
It was a lot of. I've got a good group with me.
If not more.
Yeah.
What would you say about this group, about Simon Dwayhe, about Najib Mkeri, about Marcel Zalloua, who I used to coach?
Yes, he used to
He
coach
was a
you.
winner as a player, and
Oh,
now he's
yeah.
a winner as a person, as a
Absolutely.
grown up.
Absolutely. Well, firstly, you know, if it wasn't for the success, for the hard work that the previous people that set the foundation, I couldn't have done what I've done. You know, yes, Tony Jitene, Peter Naum, George Zayden, yourself. There's a lot, you know, and then Said Finienos. Michael Azizi did a lot. Like, he had no kids in the club, whatever. Allah yarhamu Kholi Tannous, Aziza, known as Sasota. He was passionate about football. So I think that's where Michael gets it from his
And George
Ma'oud.
Ma'oud.
Yeah, but Saeed, yeah, he had a lot of big part in that. He's that treasurer all the time. Also coached a lot of young teams. His kids were in the club. You know, I hope I haven't forgotten. I know I'm going to forget someone. I know I'm going to forget.
It's my fault if you do.
Okay, I know. You know, Saman Boudouli was there at the beginning. You know, he was
Michel Zalloua.
Michel Zalloua. You know, a lot of people behind the scene like that were worked hard in the canteen. You know, Allah yarhamu Said Zalloua.
Yep.
And Fuad Baina. They were tag team in the canteen. But before then, you had people like Zahir Boudib and Sarkis Boudib. You know, they worked hard there in the background doing the canteen, raising funds for them back then. Anyway, but to the new generation that's coming through, Marcel Zalloua, Simon Dwayhe, and Najib Mkeri, when the license came up to purchase, I was in a meeting, AGM for the association. I said, guys, I'm busy right now. I quickly rang Marcel up first. He's been successful. My money was tied up. I need a business decision. I said, Marcel, I'm going to act from my heart. I'll probably miss out on something if the club owes money or whatever. He says, all right, Peter, I'll come down. I told him, bring your checkbook, please. So he did. Anyway, an hour later in the meeting, we had secured the license for the club. We bought it. Then I rang Simon. But then I rang Najib. They all came on board. Simon says, who's coming on? I told him, Marcel. He says, put me down. Najib, put me down. And they're my three main stakeholders of the club. If it wasn't for those three gentlemen, and they were all juniors of the club, their parents coached the club, were heavily involved in the club. And it was in their blood.
Amazing.
And they can continue. You know, like Antoine Zalo did a lot of work with the juniors. You know, a lot of work.
Certainly did. The one last question, Peter. Is there a plan to play in Lebanon?
There is. We're preparing ourselves. At the moment, we've been heavily focused on fixing our field, which they've already started this week.
Yep.
And the bowling club, we've secured the club, but we're going to open in February, a big major opening. Once we have that and have facilities, we're going to prepare a team. But we need sponsors. Players are going to give up their work and trying to drag money out of it to go there. It's not fair.
من خلال هالبرنامج نحن بندعي كل أصحاب المصالح بالفعل إنه يدعموا هالنادي يلي عم يدعم شبيبتنا والصبايا يلي بالفعل عامل شغل رهيب وبيستحق كل الدعم والتقدير. Peter. Peter, your last message today, of course, we're going to have you in future programs as Alvaro, to the community, to the parents, and to the players.
Well, I'd just like to thank كل العالم الأهل, the parents, the players, their families, their supporters, and the people outside our club, that's from other clubs that have been supporting us. I thank them very much. And hopefully we can do the area and all the local clubs proud of our achievement and what we're going to do for next year. And hopefully our club will be able to support all those growing clubs that are in our area. And with the opening of the bowling club and the new synthetic pitch, the money that gets generated, we're hoping to help other clubs with it as well. So I thank everybody, and thank you, Sarkis, for allowing me to speak. And
God bless you, give you the strength and health to keep going.
You know, and I just want to especially thank my committee.
Yep.
The backbone of my the ones that have supported me, even the ones that aren't on the committee but do a lot of things behind the scenes.
Yep.
You know, I tell you, without them, I couldn't do this. You know, we've got a lot of new people on board this year that have come in. A gentleman by the name of Anthony Harab, who's our new TD, and he's brought the next professionalism into the club. And I'd just like to thank everybody. I hope I haven't missed out on anyone, especially my wife. I thank her very much for supporting me, and my kids, believe it or not. You know, they take a lot of, trust me, I've probably been hard on them a lot. So without them, I couldn't have done this, especially.
Good on you, Peter.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.